Hello and welcome to episode 87 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're your source for weekly Drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right. We're basically just two regular dudes drinking some irregular beer and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client MTG Arena.
Yes, and there was a big announcement video that just happened, and we know all the new products coming out in 2023, as well as a little bit more information of what's coming out this year. So we're going to dive into those. But first, each week we both bring a beer, we drink Jeff's, then drink mine, rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, and choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what is on tap?
All right, we're continuing our tap takeover of a Hamilton local brewery called Rain and Grit. This time I've brought their IPA, and it's called Pinky Swear. And it's nothing fancy. The can just says India Pale Ale. So my guess is that this is like their flagship IPA, and it's 5.8%.
Nice. Yeah, I still really like the art on that. So go to our Instagram at Arena Regulars to check out what the art style looks like. But I'm a big fan. Excited to see what we get this week because last week was nice. All right, we have some Magic news. There was obviously a huge announcement. That's what this whole episode is about. So this whole episode is Magic news. Hooray! I'm not going to get into more of that really because Dominaria United will be coming out soon. But let's just kind of get into this announcement, man. Starting with Dominaria United. Hooray! But quick aside before we get into the Magic stuff. This announcement was a big WotC. It's for all the WotC products, basically. So there was a very large portion at the very beginning that was all about Dungeons and Dragons, which is fantastic. We will not be talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know very much about it. It was cool to see all the products, but it doesn't really, I don't really play that much, so
Yeah, I mean, all I could tell is that it's like, whatever they're doing is sort of a big deal. They're sort of, it's like a new edition or a new version or whatever.
Yeah, so if you're D&D people out there, awesome for you. That's so great. All the books looked cool, and I'm actually kind of, being a Magic player, I liked having both of them together because they're trying to bring us, to be one unit. But this is a Magic podcast, so we're going to talk about Magic. Here we go. First off, Dominaria United on Arena, it comes out September 1st, so it's very, very soon, 1 week after this episode drops. And we did get to see some cards. Jeff, do you want to talk about the cards now, or do you want to talk about them later? Should we get into future things?
I say we talk about all the upcoming cool sets and save the sweet preview talk for afterwards.
All right, so let's do that. So if you want to hear our thoughts on any of the previews or the spoilers or the new cards or all the stuff going on, stay tuned for that. So that leaves... Well, do you have anything to say about Dominaria United before we move on?
Yeah, I have lots to say, but I'll say it later.
Perfect.
It's a beloved plane that we're returning to. People really loved the last Dominaria set.
Yeah, and as we know, the Phyrexians are invading, and as Phyrexians do. I just missed Invasion when I had started playing Magic. Mm-hmm. I started in Onslaught, so Invasion was a couple blocks before that, which was a huge Phyrexian invasion. And I always thought the Phyrexians were so cool, and I just have never really been playing, I haven't been really in it when the Phyrexians are around, so I'm very excited to get my hands on some of these and get playing with Phyrexians, because they're really cool.
Yeah, I just missed Invasion as well, but I had an old box of cards that my dad's, friend's son gave me that had some Invasion cards in it, and I thought they were really cool. So, yeah, we'll talk more when we get to specific cards, obviously, but I think this is going to be a cool set.
Oh, it's going to be so sweet. As well as the Brothers War, which... is all about the brothers, of course, being Urza and Mishra, which I also didn't get to play during their time, which was Urza's Legacy, Destiny, Saga. But yeah, bringing all this nostalgia back. It must be like, is there like some sort of anniversary or something coming up?
I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Turning, some sort of age.
Yeah, I don't know what year it could be. A monumental age, I guess. A really important one for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was like, the Urza's sets were way before my time if I started playing after Invasion. But I'm a little concerned about this one, not gonna lie. It's an artifact themed set, and artifact themed sets don't have a great track record. But one thing I wanted to call out about this is that they said that, like, they put specific emphasis on, like, war machines.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's going to be a lot of, like, creatures and stuff. And generally it's not the artifact creatures that are busted. It's just artifacts that you can tap right away and, get all up to all sorts of shenanigans. So I'm hoping that was, like, them hinting that, we figured out a way to not make a busted artifact set, and that's to make the artifacts mostly like big war machine juggernaut style cards.
Yeah, well, not just that, but also making sure artifacts have colors in their casting cost, which is something we do all the time now. Back then, you didn't do that. Artifacts were just artifacts, and you play them in any deck, and they might have colored activation costs, but they didn't really, use colors to play. Now, it's very normal to have an artifact be color. And so I think that really helps it too. Right? Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of had that technology when Kaladesh was around, but...
But they didn't do that in Kaladesh, though. I feel like all the busted stuff was all the colorless shit. So if they just make sure there's colors, it's better, right? It's got to be.
It's got to be better.
It's got to be better. I am very optimistic about this set, and I'm very excited because I didn't think about this before. But it looks like they are doing a pre-release that is, you choose which brother's side. So your pre-release kit, they do this.
Yeah.
They do this with like Ravnica guilds and stuff, where you're like, oh, pick your favorite guild or whatever, your house for Strixhaven. This will be, you just have two options. Either you're going to go with Urza or you're going to go with Mishra, and that is so fun. I know that they did this for Mirrodin Besieged, when they were going into the pre-release, so you had to choose like Phyrexians or the Mirren. And so it's kind of hearkening back to that, which I missed, and I really wish that I was able to do it. But I hope they do something like that on Arena, because we don't get that experience.
It seems pretty easy to have that port over.
Yeah. I would hope so.
You never know.
But they haven't really done that with the other pre-releases either, so not like, oh, here's your sealed pool, pick your favorite guild, and then you'll get a seeded pack. They don't really do that, so.
Yeah, I guess because it's just for pre-releases. It's not for, like, sealed. And Arena doesn't really have pre-release.
Yeah.
Oh, they could, but maybe it's just not worth it to them to, like, code all of that functionality for a 2-day event.
That's true. But still, come on. We get it for, like, a whole week beforehand. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I want. But though I still think, okay, we talked about this a long time ago, maybe 1 year ago, when we were talking about Brothers War coming out, that you said you thought it was going to be a busted artifact set, and I said it wasn't going to be busted because it's not going to be an artifact set. So there's still that up in the air. It could surprise us and not be artifact themed.
Yeah. It feels like we have like a whole year of artifact sets here.
All right, well then let's go into the next one. Then all the brand new news.
Okay, so the other set that Zach probably thinks isn't an artifact set is called March of the Machine.
Wait. No, you skipped one. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You were just trying to get that joke in. You really wanted to hammer that home.
Okay, so the actual next set that Zach thinks won't be an artifact set is Phyrexia. All will be one. So I guess we're like going back to the plane. So in New Phyrexia, the Phyrexians took over Mirrodin. So I guess this is us going back to Mirrodin, but it's now called New Phyrexia. So
I actually don't know. Did we learn about what plane it's going to actually be on. We just know that it's like about Phyrexians. So, I would kind of assume that we might be there, learning probably, I guess, more about the plan, and because it's building up into the battle that we're really getting into. As the Brothers' War is about the past, this is bringing us back to the present. But once again,
I wonder if the Brothers' War is going to be like they have to travel back in time, and that's why they can justify putting like Teferi in the Brothers' War or something.
That's okay. Maybe that would make sense. Maybe it's just like, yeah, it's just like a Back to the Future. If they have a bunch of Back to the Future jokes, that would be everything. But
what, like he falls in love with his mom or something?
No. Well, it's that's not what happened in Back to the Future. Real quick, just so everyone knows, his mom was.
I have to throw stuff like that in just to see.
No,
exactly
because his mom was trying to have sex with him. That was the problem, and he was just trying to get her with his dad so that he could be alive. But she had the hots for him, and then also there's a bunch of
much less weird.
There's a bunch of like really fucked up stuff that happens in that movie that people seemingly forget, but like. Around all of that, actually, not that isn't the fucked up stuff, but there's other things that people seem to glide over. But
that's my prediction for the Brothers' War. They have to go back in time for like MacGuffin XYZ, and then that's why like you'll have Planeswalkers in a set that's all about the Brothers'
War. Okay, because they have to have a reason to have Planeswalker cards because. Planeswalkers, that was before the mending or something?
Yeah, the Planeswalkers would be like super powerful, the ones at that time.
Do they just print Oko right into
Yeah, Oko's just chilling there. Actually, Urza was Oko the whole time. Oko's a trickster, right?
Wow, that would be insane.
Zach, we'll get to Oko later.
Okay, all right, we will. But I'm really excited for Phyrexia just because, well, I've already alluded that I love Phyrexians, and I do... Spoiler alert, want them to win everything. If they could take over all of everything and then kind of I'm just on their side. As of all the villains that we have in Magic, I'm somebody who likes the Phyrexians. I don't give a shit about Nicol Bolas. I don't give a shit about Eldrazi. But Phyrexians. Oh.
You're not even a sleeper agent. You're just actively aware of which team and like open about which team you're on.
I am, yeah. I signed up for the sleeper agent program, and they denied me access because I was too excited to be Phyrexian, and they said that
it was too obvious.
Yeah, they said that I would give it away immediately. But
you were too obviously complete. So.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Wow. But I want them to bring back poison. Because
I feel like they have to. I feel like they have to.
Because I just...
And there's like a little hint to it, right?
There might be a little something. Which, they might sprinkle it in. We have had infect or poison damage from things. We had that guy in Kaldheim. So I think they'll sprinkle some in. It might not be like a limited mechanic, but we'll have something.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one too because I loved Mirrodin. I think that was that's when I first went to pre-releases when I was a kid. It wasn't Mirrodin, but it was Darksteel was the first one I went to.
Right.
So I have a lot of affiliation with that plane, and I think I heard them say something about Mirrodin. I don't totally remember, but I think I heard them say Mirrodin or has become new Phyrexia or something like that when they announced this. I have to go back and watch it, but. I was given the distinct impression that
that's where we're going to be.
Is going to be there, yeah.
I do think...
So there might be some, nods to old Mirrodin characters or...
Yes.
Stuff like that.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, and that does make a lot of sense. Obviously, we should be back to where the home ground is. But I do think we're going to be in a big kind of on multiple different planes because... The next one. Do you want to announce again the next set that's coming out?
Okay, so the next set is called March of the Machine. I guess I don't remember a ton of the details surrounding this. It's just sort of like the denouement it's like the final confrontation of this war, I guess.
Yes, yeah. So it seems like this, we've been building on this for a really long time as we've seen Phyrexians on other planes. Obviously, we've seen them in the last couple, and Kaldheim. And now March of the Machine is going to be the kind of build up to the final battle. And then there's going to be a small set that comes after it that's tied into it called March of the Machine, The Aftermath. So that's a nice little block thing, which I wasn't expecting to have. And I like that they use it like sparingly kind of in the story arc. So
Yeah.
I guess this...
Wondering if it's going to be like drafted together.
That is something I always want to do, but it seems like people... if they said... Because they said small set, I think they have to, because we've had these weird like Innistrad blocks of like 2 big sets. And so this would make sense if we do it together.
I would love that, but I think we're in the minority on that. Most people prefer the new system where every format is just 3 of the same pack of the new set.
Yeah.
Because like you get more of the new cards that way. All 3 packs are new.
That's true, but if the small set, if they're doing it in a way that like, because when they did, so mini rant about block structure because we just brought it up, so we have to. So when they were doing the 3 block structure before, it was like core set in the summer, and then 1 in the fall, winter, spring, and then core set, right? So you'd spend a whole year in one plane. But that's a really long time. Because they're coming out with sets so quickly, I think that this is going to come out in like April or something, right? March of the Machine.
Yeah.
And then Aftermath is supposed to be shortly after. So like if that's May or June, that's only like a little bit of time, and maybe you have like a month of like drafting both together. Which seems...
Yeah, it won't feel as much to the, I'm only getting 1 pack of new cards.
Exactly. Or I'm like, slogging through like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, and this draft set just keeps, it grows, but it just takes forever to change. And our draft sets change so quickly now because people are playing them in mass on Arena that I think having some, every once in a while, it doesn't have to be the norm, but I would like the idea of like, it makes sense to have a small set, so let's tack it on and make it fun and special. So 2 big things with this. So on the actual picture for March of the Machine, okay, it is like the sky is Elesh Norn, and then Teferi's in the middle, and there's like some lightning. But in the lightning, there are all these like worm things flying in the sky, and there are 3 really important things in the picture. Okay, we're going into fun art stuff, but there are hedrons around Elesh Norn's neck, so that makes us feel like we might be visiting Zendikar. There is a temple that looks like Theros, and there's also some buildings that look like we're on Kamigawa with neon lights on the side. So it does seem like that may span over multiple planes, and the Phyrexians are infiltrating a bunch of different places. So I don't think March of the Machine is going to be on one place. I think it's going to be in a bunch of different places. And we did get hinted at from Kaldheim, what's his face? When Kaya was talking to Tyvar, he had mentioned he went to Zendikar at one point. So we might have some of those things tie in together as we've had little like droplets of stuff. But
very interesting.
We had a war that was like every planeswalker was stuck in Ravnica and they all had to fight there. This one feels like kind of the opposite, where the war comes to everyone and is spreading all over the multiverse. Kind of cool. I
was gonna ask if we knew like where it was set. So I guess it's kind of cool that it's not just on Dominaria or something.
Yeah, I think it's kind of everywhere. And, or, probably some more than others, but in the sense that the art may invoke core set feelings where you get characters from all over the place, but in a expert level thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I like this. I'm happy that we're back in like a big, I've been waiting. Since we started the podcast, I've been talking about when are we going to Phyrexia, and finally, it's happening.
Here we are.
I've been kind of saying that we're going to be there for a long time now. Finally, it has happened. It hasn't happened yet, but we're getting there. We're on the road, and I'm very excited. I just have one more request, and it's that we need to have a reprint of March of the Machines because, of course, we have to.
My only request is that it's actually Eldrazi behind the thing the whole time, and the Eldrazi all storm out and just swat away the Phyrexians, and then it's all about Eldrazi. That would be awesome.
That would be... okay, just to pause our thing, because of course I'm going to go on a rant about something, but recently, my respect for Eldrazi and Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon have gone up. I felt kind of low on them, but they've bumped up in my rankings for one specific reason. I watched the movie The Thing. I think it's 1982, Kurt Russell, and the entire movie is you don't know who's an alien, and when you find out they're an alien, they bust out into a bunch of tentacles and start attacking people and like freaking out. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of inspiration for Eldritch Moon from The Thing. And so now when I look at those cards and the ones that flip into Eldrazi, I'm like, that's from The Thing. And so that, after watching that movie and loving it, I have a bigger respect for Eldrazi and tentacle monster things. So, okay. So
just the Emrakul branch, though.
Yeah, no, just that. Not the giant ones, but just the Emrakul branch, yeah. Which are the ones I thought were the dumbest. So I'm coming back. I'm coming back. So.
Yeah. I still like, if you start to tell me your respect grows for Oath of the Gatewatch, that's when I'll have to find a new co-host.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't. Well, you know, the Gatewatch, it was really important for the Nicol Bolas. No. I mean, yeah, sure, they were fine, but
that was terrible.
No, it was one of the sets where I came back and bought a bunch of cards and was like, what the fuck? They made a new mana symbol? Fuck this. And I got pissed and left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's on everything, and I don't even think about it for a second. So, anyway, classic. I purposely went on this rant right now because March of the Machine and March of the Machine: The Aftermath is the end of that story arc, and we do get a bit of a break, which is nice. We get a break into not Magic story, into another story. A new story. Not a new story. It's super old. Everyone knows this story. But
it's a new story. What the hell are you talking about?
Jeff,
have you not heard of this before?
This is one of the biggest things, and we might spend a bit more time talking about this because we got more information about it, and I probably have more feelings about it. Jeff, do you want to tell us what's coming to Arena summer of next year?
Yeah, like originally we thought it wouldn't apply to us, but it actually does.
It does.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, of course, is Universes Beyond with the brand new story, Lord of the Rings. It's called Lord of the Rings: Tales of Middle-earth.
Yeah.
And it is what it sounds like. It is a Lord of the Rings themed Magic set. You're going to have your Gandalf card in this set.
Mm-hmm. Probably the gray and the white.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll be a flip card.
I hope not. I really hope it's two separate cards, honestly. No, you're right. It'd be a good flip card. Damn it.
Yeah. I feel like when you start to look at like the Magic design, you got to look. Okay, what would be a good flip card? And they're gonna take
That's true. So this is a modern legal set that it's also draftable. So it's a full large set, just like Baldur's Gate. It's coming to Arena.
Which that part we knew, right? Like we've known that since
we knew that. We knew it was going to
modern legal thing
and draftable. So we were thinking this wouldn't apply to us, but they dropped a bomb, not a bomb, but basically saying, hey, this is going to be the summer set for you Arena players. And my mind is immediately just like, this is Baldur's Gate again. I really hope they don't change a bunch of cards to be digital only. I think that's my first reaction. I
think they're going to, though, right? Like, you can't make a modern... I guess you can, in theory, because you're just releasing it into Alchemy and... Historic. but you shouldn't really make a set that you want people to play in Modern and then release it into Alchemy.
Yeah, but is it going to be as strong as Modern Horizons? I just don't think it will be. It should.
I think it's going to be pretty fucking strong because that's how they get Modern players to keep buying cards, right? There has to be the new Ragavan or whatever. That
I just thought it was like a way to, like, it's a draftable set. You can draft it, and then you can also play it in Modern if you want to. But like,
yeah, but I think generally they try to like shake up the format so that Modern players have to buy the cards.
I mean, that's true. It's just we haven't really talked about it, but I really think the Baldur's Gate like change all the cards thing has been really frustrating to me, and I'm not really happy with it after playing with it. Because it's just confusing because you try to talk to Commander players like, hey, we have a similar. I play that card, you play that, and then I'm like, oh, I don't even know what your card does. It has the same art and maybe even the same name, but like for the most part, I don't know what you're talking about. So. That seems to be as the announcement video is bringing together D&D players and Magic players. Alchemy is separating them, Magic players from other Magic players. So I hope it's not too crazy, and they don't go too wild with some of the digital only stuff. But anyway, the art looks amazing for the Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah. The pieces they showed looked really good.
There's like a Balrog and like Frodo with the ring, and the one that we've seen a lot with Gandalf. But honestly, of any Universes Beyond product that they have announced, which we don't talk a lot about it on the show because they're mainly secret layers and just stuff that don't pertain to us. This is one I actually think is cool, and I actually am interested in. I do want to play this. I'm more so excited about like drafting it, but yeah, it.
Same.
Yes.
I mean, the number of people who are like into Magic, but not generally when you're into Magic, most people who are into Magic are into fantasy, and most people who are into fantasy are into the Lord of the Rings. So this feels like just a very natural pairing. And once you get past, like, I think I know why they didn't start with this, because, like, people's reaction to having non-Magic characters in Magic was very strong, so you have to get them used to it a bit before you print Gandalf. So I think the timing here is also makes a lot of sense to me. It's like, all right, we've pissed them off with some other Universes Beyond already. They're used to it now, and now we can hit the one that's, like, probably has the biggest overlap with our fan base.
Which is great. I'm excited. I'm also excited because they did announce as well that in 2024 in the summer it's going to be Mortal Kombat. Finally, that's what everyone's been asking for, is the Mortal Kombat Universes Beyond.
Oh man, Fatality is the mechanic.
All the different ninjas are different colors. It's perfect. It already works right into it.
It's so good.
It's gonna be great. That's not real, but I hope one day it might be. There just aren't enough characters for it to be a full draftable set, I think. You have
there's a lot of characters.
Yeah, enough for like who would the other? You might have like random villagers or people.
Shaolin monk.
The people in the background that you can pick up and throw at other people.
That's right. Got the.
But anyway, Lord of the Rings. I'm going to pay attention to it now because before I was kind of writing it off as I might draft it once set, and now I'll probably draft it a lot until the digital mechanics might frustrate me, but we'll see. Who knows? I could be a completely different person by next year. Who knows?
That could be an alchemy fiend.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be my next thing, but we'll see. All right, so Jeff, we have finished a large story arc, and so as always, I'm jumping straight, pretending that we didn't talk about Lord of the Rings, but
sure.
From our giant March of the Machine story arc, the big battle finishes, and of course, what's the next set we have to talk about and go to?
Eldraine.
Yeah,
that's what it does. The set after Lord of the Rings. So this is a fall set, right?
Yes.
After the summer Lord of the Rings set. It's called Wilds of Eldraine.
Nice. We
Not much about it.
yeah.
Presumably it's set in Eldraine.
Yeah, we seem to see. There's just a picture of, like, I'm assuming one of those tales of the princess who's actually like an old lady who's stealing magic from somebody, and she's holding like a crystal apple. But we can see the reflection in her dress is showing that she's old. Yeah, so more fairy tale things. As we'll see, maybe Oko comes back, and like you said,
Yeah. I'm just hoping the set isn't so like low powered this time.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like, give us some cards that we actually want to play. You know?
Like, honestly, Eldraine was just such a letdown because we were, off the high of of a big battle, War of the Spark, tons of cards everybody used. Then Eldraine came around and nobody used any of those cards. None of them were they weren't any good. They didn't go to any tournaments. Like, really, just it was a set
Only
that
had to ban like 10 of them.
Yeah. They only made like the best planeswalker ever. It's crazy.
Disappointing.
Really
I'm expecting
disappointing.
higher power level this time around.
Yeah. Which is what we really expect from the next set, actually. That's going to be in the winter of, or I guess like the late fall, is the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. That's right. Mm-hmm. We're going to get more of those high-powered dinosaurs that have been, just destroying Standard for years. I don't know what I feel about these choices, both of them, Eldraine and Ixalan.
Yeah, both of them feel like totally reasonably, like, they both kind of feel like Wizards just wants to say, let's have a do-over, like, because they both are cool ideas. Eldraine, the art's beautiful. I really like what I like about Eldraine is all of the top-down designs are really, like, cool. You see them, you read them, you get it. And that feeling of reading it and getting it is awesome. Like, when you read Ginger Brute or something, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, he's a gingerbread man, you can't catch him, so nothing can block him unless it has haste. It's just like those top-down designs. Eldraine just gives you so many of those to choose from. The only real problem with Eldraine is that the cards were way too good.
Yeah.
Like, people got sick of them because they dominated Standard and then even older formats just forever because they were too good.
I do wonder, like, can you make like adventure low powered but fun, or lower powered but fun? Like,
yeah, totally. Like, just increase the casting costs on them. Don't make them curve into themselves. Like, part of Bone Crusher Giant's problem, and the reason, like, nobody plays the black one that I can't even remember the name, is because Bone Crusher is the perfect 2/3.
You're talking about Murderous Rider?
Murderous Rider, you have to choose whether you're playing the creature or the removal spell most of the time, because they're both 3 drops. And it's really awkward. It's like 3 and then 3. And so that card looked awesome in previews, but Bone Crusher Giant turned out to just be way, way better, because it's the exact 2/3 drops you want. Like, on turn 2, what do you want? You want to kill something, a small creature.
Yeah.
Perfect. Stomp does that. Turn 3, what do you want? You want to play a big creature. Okay, there's Bone Crusher Giant, and this one card just gave you exactly what you want on both turns. So if they start to do stuff where the creature is cheaper than the adventure, now the cards just always get worse when you do that.
That's true. Okay, so you have to pick earlier. That makes sense. Also, if it's the adventure is still cheaper, but like the use is very situational. I did like those where it's like, what's the one, Order of Midnight or something, where it's like you can get a creature from your graveyard for like 1 black or something, but if you don't have any creatures, it's not really useful. And then, like, you shouldn't hold the 2/2 flyer in your hand. You should play it. So,
right. Order of Midnight saw some like fringe play even. And there's like a green-black adventure deck going on.
Exactly, which was cool, and it was a good card, but you never felt like you were getting just steamrolled by this thing.
I really liked the zombie that was like, was it a zombie? I don't remember, but it was a 1/1 Death Touch for 1, but its adventure was like 2 and a black to draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was sort of the reverse, where it's a 1-drop, but if you draw it late, it's not the end of the world. It cycles. It's an expensive cycle, and then you get your 1-drop that can actually trade with something, so it doesn't feel useless. I thought that was a really good design.
Yeah.
Foulmire Knight.
Yeah, so, yeah, all that stuff. So it seems cool, but I just was, just laughing, of course, because is this going to be the new thing? Like, there's a big story. We go through years of building the story. It all comes down, and then we go to Eldraine for Fairy Tale Land. So.
Yeah, and then like I was saying, Ixalan feels the same, but sort of, as you alluded to, the opposite, where it's like, it's a exploration, sort of adventure-themed set, which should be really cool, and it has a lot of really beloved creature types, and cool stuff that attracted a lot of people. But then there was sort of the 2 things that happened really with Ixalan was the cards were kind of too bad to make a huge impact on standard or on eternal formats, because they were trying to like systematically bring down the power level at that point to stop power creep. I think that's people's suspicion.
From Kaladesh, yeah. It was reverberated from Kaladesh, yeah.
And then at the same time, the draft format, like some people liked it, but most people thought it was bad by the bar that like modern draft formats set. And so there's like 2 things that happened at once to this really cool idea for a theme, which was that nobody wanted to play it because the cards were bad and constructed and the draft format was bad.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And so, which I agree, I do like tribal decks and sets. However, I think what they need to do is have more variety. I think they're a little bit too shoehorned on. There are 4 tribes, and they are vying over the same territory, and those decks never overlapped, and you never really wanted pirates in your dinosaur deck, like, ever. Like, it was just not, you weren't interested at all.
Right.
So...
And that's the problem. You draft, like, a blue-green rare first or something, or even, like, just a blue rare. It's like, okay, you're Merfolk now.
Yeah, that's it. And then that's the rest of and everyone does it. Like, it's not just you.
You take every Merfolk card for the rest. Yeah, because it wasn't like, oh, you're just a bad drafter, you gotta stay open. It's like, no, the format rewarded this. This was what you were supposed to do, which is not fun.
It wasn't very fun, yeah. So I'm hoping that maybe, because we're going to the Lost Caverns, they were talking about how this is like underground, because we explored the surface. And so we get to see a little bit more of what's down there. Maybe there's some more creature types we didn't know were on Ixalan. Maybe we get to do some other things. Who knows? But yeah, I will miss the story though. I don't know if you ever read the story for Ixalan, but it is one of my favorites actually. Just with there's whole episodes that's just Jace and Vraska like falling in love, and sounds kind of lame and boring. Really interesting, and I did like it quite a bit. So,
there you go. Maybe Sexy Jace will make a return.
Oh, I love Sexy Jace. I traded something way too good for a Sexy Jace.
It wasn't a good card. So.
It was not a good card. It still isn't. But I just wanted a Sexy Jace, and I think I still have it. Anyway, so that's what we get. That's next year. Before we go to a beer break, Jeff, what do you have any final thoughts, or like maybe what are you most excited for next year, or yeah, either most excited for and most worried about. There we go, perfect.
Okay, yeah, I mean, overall thoughts. This just looks really good. Looks like fun years, Magic ahead. They do a good job though of like always making sure the year ahead looks really hype. It's happened the past couple of years, so. Not surprised, but most excited for Phyrexia All Will Be One. Like I said, just was a big Mirrodin fan, and I didn't get to play during like Scars of Mirrodin and New Phyrexia. I was out of the game at that point that was like my sabbatical, let's call it. And so I don't have any. I just look back on some of that stuff that other people are like, oh, that sucked. In fact, I'm like, I don't know, I want to try it. That seems cool to me. So I don't have any of those like negative associations that some people might have with Phyrexian mana and Infect kind of maybe not being their best designed mechanics on their first shot. I'm confident they can fix them. So really looking forward to see what they bring in Phyrexia, and as importantly, what they don't bring. As I've alluded to, I'm most worried about the Brothers' War. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be too tempting for them to include these homages to old busted Urza artifacts, and they have two options when they do that: either take a risk, or just pummel it into the ground so that it's terrible. And sometimes they do the latter, but too often it's just the card is just awesome. So I'm expecting some stupid they won't print any lands that are busted because they've learned their lesson about that for the most part. But there's gonna be some Urza artifact or Mishra artifact that's really inconspicuous, but it doesn't look like much. But for whatever reason, it's gonna cost 0 or something, and that's just gonna mean it's busted. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be something dumb like that. Not even a fun busted card. It's gonna be some like Mishra's Bauble that is a $50 card now, and it doesn't actually do anything. It's gonna be something like that.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a reprint of Mishra's Bauble.
They might even reprint Mishra's Bauble, and then every deck just has to have 4 Mishra's Bauble in it. It's the opt for every single deck because it's 0 mana.
That's your favorite, Jeff. You love opt. I know that's your favorite card. Yeah, I think I'm actually I'm gonna agree with you on Phyrexia. All will be one and will be. I'm most excited for that. I also like those sets because the middle of winter is a really good time to have a really good Magic set because everyone's inside, and it's just I want them to start thinking about that a little bit more. And so then I'm most worried about the Lord of the Rings set. I think it'll be cool, but I'm worried it will break up the player bases a bit more. Already with having so many formats on Arena, it can get hard to be have your fingers in all of them, and this continues to make that harder and harder. Though I do think it's smart that we love core sets here on the show. It's one of our favorite things. I actually recently have decided I'm going to make a core set cube in paper.
Love it.
Which seems a lot of fun, but like you said, it makes more sense to try to get new players. Core sets were supposed to be helpful for new players and getting them started. Having new players be interested in Lord of the Rings and start playing Magic that way is going to work a lot better, I think.
Yeah, they tried it with D&D last year. I don't know if it worked. I don't have the numbers on that, but presumably Wizards does.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit easier for them because they get a cut from both Magic players going to D&D and D&D players going to Magic, so it's just
it makes sense.
It's just all upside for them. For this, what are they going to do? What? Peter Jackson gets some money? I don't know. I don't think that's that's not really what's going to happen. But so I'm looking forward to, but a little.
How many players do you think are playing Magic and discovering the Lord of the Rings through it?
I don't know, man. There could be, who knows? Those movies are old now, so there's easily gonna be some kid who's a little bit too young to watch the movies yet with their parents, or maybe their parents don't like it very much, and they're
I think there's a show coming out in this September.
Oh, the Rings of Power. Yeah, actually that makes sense. If you haven't seen the trailer for that show, it's mainly just a bunch of molten metal going through this piece of wood to spell out the name Rings of Power. But, funny fact, that's all practical. If you watch it, the actual thing, it's real metal.
It's not CG.
And it's not CG. They actually carved out the piece of wood and they shot it and they blew smoke on it and everything. So that's why
it's just like a video tour of a ring factory.
And that's why it looks so cool. It looks really, really insane, and that's because it's all real. Anyway, film magic.
I'm gonna have to watch it again now.
Yeah,
with that knowledge.
Yeah,
because everything I always just write everything off as oh, it's just really good CG because the CG has gotten so good.
Yeah. No, that there will be a lot of CG in that, I'm sure. But
sure, yeah.
But the actual
magic is real too.
All the magic. So we actually hired real wizards to be on. It's just Mark Rosewater, and he's
I would definitely watch that.
That would be if Mark Rosewater was just playing a hobbit, and he came up and had one line. Oh God, that would be amazing.
He'd be so goofy delivering it too.
See, that's why they're doing the Lord of the Rings thing, because he made a deal. All right, we'll make a whole magic set for you if I can be in the Ring of Power. Oh God,
that'd be great.
That'd be so.
It'd be like the Jerry Seinfeld thing where he can never hold a straight face.
Yeah, he's just like almost laughing the whole time. He's like almost looking right at the camera. Jeez.
It's part of the charm of the show.
Yeah. I don't know if you're right, but I'll go with it. All right. Perfect. So that's kind of what's happening next year, what's going on for the rest of this year. Hey, we're gonna run to a beer break, but what? No, we're gonna talk about some cards after that. That's what we're gonna do.
Previews on the other side of this beer break.
This beer break is brought to you by our patrons over on Patreon.
That's right. You're already supporting the show just by listening, but if you want to support the show even more, well, the Patreon's the best way to do that. Plus, if you head on over there, you get to vote on which co-host is your favorite by buying me a beer.
Or buying me a beer. So go to patreon.com/arenaregulars to vote on your favorite host.
And if you don't want to buy us a real in-life beer, you can always send us a beer emoji over on our Discord channel. You know what? We love those too.
So head on over to Discord and find us at Arena Regulars.
All right, Zach. What did you bring this week?
Ooh, I brought something purple.
Yeah. As always, Zach's beer is purple.
So this is also from Green and Grit, of course. And this is very good. It is their sour with raspberry, blackcurrant, and lactose. And it's 5%. The picture is purple, and it has a skeleton giving you a thumbs up. And it's got a blackberry or raspberry right on the top. I guess it's a raspberry, because there aren't blackberries in this.
Yeah. Is it a black currant? I don't think so.
No, I don't really know exactly what that looks like to you.
No.
Is it like a grape?
That's what I'm imagining in my head, whereas this is like
This is definitely...
This could be a bundle of black currants.
That's true. That's true. I don't know how big the skeleton's hand is. But anyway...
Maybe that's the point. It could be either.
Ah, see, there you go. That's good. At least it's not a glass of milk for lactose. All right.
You know what? I have respect for something that's just a clean 5%. I've started to come around to that when it's just 5%. It's not like 5.3. It's not like 6.4, 4.8. It's just 5.
Yeah, I think you're stealing my thunder for later in the episode. We're not going to talk about that stuff, but that's good. That's good. All right. Sweet. All right.
Yes, I'm sure it's going to be sweet. That's right.
Okay. Getting back into the Magic. We're going to talk a bit about Dominaria United spoilers and all the cards that we are excited about from the ones that were announced on the video. There is actually a lot of spoilers since then, and I really haven't had a bunch of time to look at all those. We're going to talk more about those next week, so stay tuned for that, because that's going to be right when everything's coming out. But today we're just gonna talk about mainly the big high profile ones, the ones that really matter, you know.
Yeah, I went to Scryfall to open up just to get a list of the cards so I could remember them from the show, and then it was like, okay, there's like at least twice as many now that I haven't seen yet. So
yeah, it's quite exciting, but also a lot to take in when I wasn't really expecting it, but. Here we are. Spoiler season is here, and it's good. So, all right, Jeff, I'm going to start us off because what better card to spoil than a reprint?
I mean, we have to start here.
we do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a drill. Liliana of the Veil is going to be back in Standard. Holy shit, this is so exciting.
When I saw this, I was watching the video, and I mentioned to Zach that I had kind of like fallen asleep during some portions of the video, the non-magic portions. Like, it's cool, but I don't play the game, and I decided...
And you
the
have
time
a
that I
baby?
decided to watch it was quite late, so, for me anyways. So I woke up, I was still kind of groggy when this card got spoiled, and I thought it was like some sort of promo for something like, oh, we did a new art of Liliana of the Veil, and you're gonna get it from some sort of secret lair or something, right? And then I saw the set symbol, like, wait, no, that looks like it's gonna be the Dominaria. Like, that has to be the Dominaria set symbol, right? And so it like took me a minute to process that they're actually putting this card in a standard legal set. I mean, that's amazing. This card is like very expensive, so it's a nice reprint. And if you haven't played with this card, it's just amazing. I bet it looks pretty good. It's better than that.
I haven't played with this card. It has always looked really good to me. I've watched Reduke play with it in Modern, playing Jund, which always seemed like a really sweet deck. And so that's why I'm really stoked for it to come to Standard. But in the Standard format that we have right now, obviously it's going to change, but there will probably be a Rakdos deck that is playing both Liliana the Veil and Obnixilis, whatever the rest of his name is, from Streets of New Capenna, which are both 3-mana planeswalkers, which both care about discarding. So that sounds fun. That sounds really fun.
It's the adversary, by the way.
Oh, the adversary. Right. I forgot, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be like my day one deck. I'm going to craft 4 of these. I already have the Obnixilises, and then the rest is just going to be like filler. My goal is to target myself with Liliana's -2 because I needed to sacrifice something.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's just, it's just going to be so crazy because, like, turn 3 you play Liliana, turn 4 then you play Obnixilis and have 2 copies because you sacrifice something.
Yeah. So the thing about this card, first of all, like, people always underrate 3-mana planeswalkers, or maybe that's not true anymore because we've said it so many times. Everyone's said it so many times. But this one is a very, very strong 3-mana planeswalker as well. Like, the +1, I think, if you haven't played against it, it's not as symmetrical as it looks. It generally feels like when the opponent has this, that they're discarding either excess Lilianas, cards that they kept in hand because they knew they had a Liliana coming out, or they've just traded 1 for 1. They don't have any cards in their hand, and they're just making you discard your card every turn, while ticking towards an ultimate that wins the game. Like on 6, this wins the game, and when something comes down on 3, that makes a big difference on ticking up to that ultimate. And then the -2 is just really good as well. It deals with, because this deck will usually play removal. So even if you have a sticky creature that's hard to get rid of, it's like I kill your thing that's easy to get rid of, and then I Liliana your thing that's hard to get rid of. It's really hard to like get out from under that. And for 3 mana, that's just like an unreasonably good deal by sort of standard. I was going to say standards, but like standards.
Yeah. Just think about all those decks that are like reanimating Titan of Industry and having Titan of Industry and the Rhino, and then it has a shield counter on it. You kill the Rhino and then make them sacrifice the Titan. It's like,
right, you kill whatever doesn't have the shield counter on it. Liliana, the other one.
It's just like
it's really hard to like get out from it. Your whole deck has to be resilient, basically. You have to have like multiple resilient creatures.
Yeah, this is going to be. I'm excited. I mean, like, I can also see Esper getting more crazy with Planeswalker stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm so excited. It's one of those cards that like has been so legendary for me for so long, and I've just never been able to have my hands on any copies because they were so expensive, or I wasn't playing the format because it was so expensive. And so being able to be part of it is really exciting, and that's what a lot of these next couple sets are going to be for me, is just being a part of this big history, which is obviously what it's meant to do. But I'm really excited. So
yeah, it's also kind of a cool reprint. I could be wrong about this, but what I was thinking when I thought about like saw the show and thought about this reprint, it's like relatively recent, I think, that Liliana has like killed all of her demon pact like owners or whatever. So now she's kind of free to use the veil as she wants, because I mean she doesn't like owe her life to these demons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool to bring back the card that is her with her veil powers. Because at first I was like, oh, that's an Innistrad card. It's kind of weird that it's reprinted as the Dominaria card. But I think it's like a storyline thing that she's now free to kind of wield the veil as she pleases.
But it it is one thing that in all the pictures, it's like kind of the veil is behind her, or like in a mirror in the main art. It's the mirror of hers looking back at herself wearing the veil, and maybe she's found new power without it, and has past the point where she believes that she isn't strong enough without the veil or without the demon pact, and that she can be her be her own true self without kind of sounding like I'm on TikTok, but you know what I mean. Like Dominaria is her home plane, and her being able to come back and be as strong as she was with this with signing her soul over to the demons.
Right.
So we'll,
that makes sense too. I think it's like cool that it all just kind of came together for this reprint. That it's like, oh, maybe makes sense story wise, and then also it's just her most powerful card that they've made for her, and it's like she's at her most powerful, whether it's like with or without the veil.
Yeah. See, the only thing that
we'll
doesn't
have to read the story.
Yeah, we have to read the story, but the only thing that doesn't make sense is like, is she just not teaching at Strixhaven anymore? I thought she was kind of done fighting bad guys. Like, what happened? Maybe the Phyrexians are invading Strixhaven, even though we didn't see it. And so she's like, oh, gotta go. School's canceled. It's a snow day, Phyrexian day or something. But
it didn't really feel like she did that much teaching there anyways.
No, she was just going talking to dragons and stuff. All right. So that one is super exciting. Jeff, is there anything that you wanted to talk about? I just want to talk about Liliana really quickly, but what's like the reprint, or not reprint, sorry, the card that is coming out, the spoiler, the new thing that you're excited about?
That I'm excited. So Liliana is the thing I'm most excited.
Okay, sorry. Just another card you want to talk about. That's
Okay. Well, another card I want to talk about. There's another black card I want to talk about. We don't have to do two cards that cost one black in a row. So I'll switch to a different card for the moment. Let's talk about Squee, Dubious Monarch. So this is, I think, is the third coming of Squee. There may be Commander Squees that I don't know about.
I don't think so.
In terms of like expert constructed products.
Whoa, expert products! One. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. Our commanders
Shots fired.
Yeah, I don't know what commanders are rated, but probably not expert given my experience. So this is tuna red for a 2/2 haste. Whenever it attacks, you create a 1/1 goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. And then all squeeze have some sort of like recurrence built into them. So this particular one is you can cast it from your graveyard by paying 3 and a red and exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard. First of all, this card is very, very strong for a red aggro deck because it's maybe very slightly underpowered for a 3-drop they want on the face, but not by that much, like 3/3 sort of power and toughness worth of haste that's going to build if they don't kill it. That's pretty good. Like, this doesn't get as out of hand as, Goblin Ravelmaster or like even the one from Ravnica did, Legion Warboss.
Mm-hmm.
But it still gets out of, like, it doesn't take too many attacks from this thing before you're dead. And just the fact that it comes back from your graveyard in the late game gives those decks some amount of inevitability that they're always sort of searching for. Like, it recovers from a Wrath really well, right? You're not that worried about a Wrath because if they tap out to Wrath, pretty much on curve, you're untapping to bring 2 creatures back out that are attacking right away. So if mono red is going to be a good standard deck, I think this will be a big part of it. And it's also just 1 red, so any sort of aggro deck could play this if you maybe have like a red. Black aggro is probably where I'd see this type of card more so than red-green, but red-white, I guess, also makes a lot of sense for this type of card. So I think this card's really strong. Whether it sees play kind of depends on the metagame. If there is a really solid red aggro deck, this, I think, will be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from playing with the power of like Den of the Bugbear, having a creature that attacks into another creature, really, really strong. And yeah, just like you said, having late game inevitability with like something in the graveyard, really helpful with decks that, aren't black, but because there is a lot of incidental graveyard hate, which we've talked about a lot. But no, it seems cool. I like bringing him back all the time. Which, I mean, okay, so obviously that's a fun joke because he comes back all the time. So every time we're at Dominaria, you have to print a new squee. And finding new ways to show off his, like, invincibility or his, what is it? I guess he's, like, in the story, he just never dies. He just always happens to get away.
Right.
Or does he come back to life? I actually don't know. Are these his bodies?
I think it was, like, originally was... I think they mentioned this during the thing.
Yeah, they said
originally that was the joke, was that he was just like a pest. He would always seem to survive these miraculous situations that he really shouldn't survive. And then they said something about the Phyrexians like actually giving him immortality.
Well, there you go. Wow, why isn't he completed? He so. Spoiler, I guess, not spoiler. Everyone knows now. But I'm going to talk about the next, the sad thing.
I just want to say that I love squeeze, like you were saying, how there's always a squee that just comes back. I think the first one was actually really good, but not in the way that this card is good. It's just in a you can never get rid of it kind of way. Mm-hmm. But I also think I was probably the only one that played the last squee. Which was literally just it was just like a 2/1 that you could cast from your graveyard if you wanted to. And I had this like big red. I think I was like equipping Blackblade to it or something because Blackblade was equipped to legendary creatures, so really cheap, and I could always make sure I had one because I had squee. The deck was okay, but I think I might have been the only person that put that in like a standard deck and played it. Semi seriously.
I kind of love that though. Squee with a Blackblade.
Yeah.
Where did you get that? How did you find that? He's like, I don't know. It's just right here.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I hid behind that rock when the bomb came down. I came out, everyone was dead, and there was this sword here, so I grabbed it.
I just grabbed it. Oh, that's great. Squee. Anyway. Talking about people that are completed, so we got a big hard hitter. It seems like they're really going after the like most wholesome planeswalkers to be completed, which I'm all for. Yeah,
of course.
Make the biggest swing. None of the ones that you would expect. Grab them. So the big shocking surprise, which I think people already knew from the story because the story's been released for a little bit now, is a Johnny Sleeper Agent, our favorite kitty dad. So he is one green hybrid Phyrexian Selesnya and a white for a 4-mana, a Johnny legendary planeswalker. He has completed just like Tamio did from Kamigawa, so you can either the hybrid thing will, if you do the Phyrexian mana, it means that they come in with 2 less loyalty. So
if you've seen Tamio, you've seen this.
Yeah, so you know that completed ability, which I like. They're bringing it back. It's nice to have that kind of arc over the sets. All right. So he has a +1. It says reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. -3, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. And then -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. That's what I'm talking about. That last one.
Yes.
The rest of it, I'm not talking about that at all. The poison counters.
Last one is definitely interesting. Fortunately, you have to use the shitty +1 between 2 and 4 times, depending how much you paid for a Johnny in order to get there. I think it's really cool, like you said, that they chose a Johnny to be completed. I personally, like it's so hard to rate new Magic cards, but I think this sucks.
I think
It's
so.
really bad.
So this is how I'm going to rate this card, and how I rate most cards, where I'm like on the fence about. This card seems sweet because it's a really good way of explaining what happened in the story. I know what's going on.
Yes.
I know what a sleeper agent is. Good job. All the arts are cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. The card looks pretty bad. I'm not excited to play the card. Like I have, as opposed to Liliana, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna save 4 mythic wild cards just for her. I'm not even gonna try to draft her. I'm just gonna craft them. A Johnny is like I don't even know if I want to pick it in the draft. Like I do because it's a planeswalker, but still.
Yeah, it'd be like decent in draft, I think. You'd get 3+1/+1 counters and
For 4 mana, or
like there you go, and then you might draw an extra card off the +1.
yeah, maybe, or put a shitty one on the bottom. I don't know.
Yeah, scry. I guess in the late game, like in limited, scrying a land at the bottom is pretty close to drawing a card.
That's pretty good, yeah.
But still, like, so these types of planeswalkers always suffer from the same problem, which is that they want to go in creature decks, but then creature-based abilities, by their very nature, like, are only good when you're already winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that -2, -3, oh, geez, it's a -3.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful, for sure, in the right deck. I was going to say, so is the +1. No, the +1 is, like, okay in the right deck. If you build your whole deck around the, like, creatures, the +1 is still just okay. But the -3 is obviously powerful when you have a bunch of creatures out. It's just like, I want my planeswalkers to be good on an empty board.
Mm-hmm.
This is not good on an empty board. And when I pay 3 mana for it, it's just going to come down and, like, scry something away. So, the green-white, like, creature planeswalkers are always a little worse than they look because of this sort of problem. And this one doesn't look good. So it's like, if it's worse than it looks, and it already doesn't look good, I gotta say I'm out on a Johnny Sleeper Agent. I really wish they'd made one of the Phyrexian planeswalkers good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there'll be one in the next set or whatever.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Yeah, because I mean, I think the big thing for me is like you said, if you use the Phyrexian mana to play this on turn 3, you can't -3. You just can't, because it's going to come with 2 fewer loyalty. So if they changed it so you had to, like, kill it to use the -3 or -2 or whatever, I'd be fine. I'd be like, sure, yeah, you can pay 3 mana and 2 life to get 3 +1/+1 counters.
I still don't think the card would be that good. But
no,
it's a big difference.
But it's a big difference.
Yeah,
because even Tameo has a -X, and so you could, maybe it's not going to be great for you, but there's a situation where it's possible you could use the Phyrexian mana and it works. But I don't know. I'm off it too. Cool. I like what they did with the good and the bad arts, though. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess I don't really get it either. Like, how is this? I guess it's just a Johnny doing a Johnny thing. He's a sleeper agent, right? So it's like only when the ultimate activates. Okay, I actually kind of like that. Yeah, all right. Only when the ultimate activates, that's when, like, the Phyrexians are taking control of him. Before that, he's like a Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like, I guess I don't have any issues with the design of the card. It's kind of a cool card.
As far as that,
it's just kind of bad.
Yeah, so...
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens, but we had to talk about it because it was the big reveal at the end of the video.
Okay, why don't we take... Because we did some Planeswalkers, we did Squee. Definitely makes a lot of sense to be in there. Why don't we take this time, though, to talk about some lands before we...
Oh, you read my mind. You go ahead. You talk about the lands because I want to hear what you're saying.
Okay, so my first major thought about this is, like, they did the thing where there's 6 of them again. Like, why'd they do the thing where there's 6 of them?
All right, real quick. Tell us what we're talking about.
All right, so we have some rare dual lands in Dominaria that are reprints. You have to be an old geezer like me to remember these cards, I think, by this point. But they are what we would call pain lands in the community. If you've ever heard the term pain lands, this is what we're talking about. I'll give you the example that I happen to be looking at right now. Surprise, surprise, it's Sulphurous Springs. That is a land it can tap to add 1 colorless mana, or it can tap to add a black or a red. If you choose that option, it deals 1 damage to you. So that's the rare cycle of dual lands from the set. It is a reprint. And yeah, it's kind of cool to do these because they have Dominaria names. So this is like the only place to do them. Carplus and Sulphurous Springs, I guess not really, but Shivan Reef. Shiva is an area of Dominaria. Yavimaya Coast, again, Yavimaya is an area of Dominaria, and so on. So, I think... Oh, I see. Sulphurous Springs was from the other set, right? That probably wasn't specifically Dominaria named.
I think so, yeah. Maybe
Okay.
not. I have no idea, actually, because Carplusian Forest is a real place. But
Well, that's what I mean. Like, they did the 5 that are Dominaria named, and then 1 more. So maybe it was like back in the day, the first 5 were Dominaria named after places, and the next 5 were.
I actually don't know. That would be fun to look up. But yeah,
I'm just guessing at this point.
yeah, I have no idea either. But you may know these. I think the enemy ones are all in Magic Origins, and so they're technically Pioneer legal and Explorer legal already.
Yes.
But now,
Okay, so you don't have to be as old as I was thinking to
Yeah,
appreciate these.
but now any of the allied ones that are coming out, which we only have a couple, those are new to Pioneer. I believe that they are being added right now. So that is an exciting thing. So that's really good here. And we're assuming that they're doing 6 here, and then we're going to get the other 4 in the Brothers' War. So
It's so weird not to do 5 and 5. We talked about this last time they did it.
yeah, so this one, it's a little easier for me to see them. So it's like there are, what is it? So it's leaning on Shivan Reef being like the card. So it's basically like there are 3 red ones and 3 blue ones are
I see.
the extras. So it's like, okay, so we got 3 red, 3 blue, and then 2 black, 2 white, 2 green. Now, I don't know if that means something like they're trying to emulate the feeling of like, what is it? Pyroblast and, or I guess Hydroblast and Pyroblast or something like that. That kind of blue versus red thing. Maybe that's a Brothers' War thing. That's basically what I was getting out of it. I don't know if that's actually it means anything. And it was just like, oh yeah, we just decided that we wanted to hold on to one of them for a little bit, but not help Dimir decks that much, or I don't know, give them the other lands instead.
Yeah.
Who knows?
One thing I'll say about these lands, though, to actually talk about them, they're good lands. You're going to want to get these. I find that these lands tend to be very overrated by the community, though. I think it's like a thing where way back in the day, like when these were printed, these were very strong. Like these would be considered very strong lands and were played at like the top standard decks of the time. And there's a few things that go on there, like they didn't print rare dual lands in every single set like they do now. But also creatures were a lot weaker and spells were a lot stronger, and so taking a damage was a lower cost at the time. And so I think people tend to play these and take like 4 damage off them, and like that'll lose you the game against a deck that's trying to attack your life total down. So I think the cost of playing these has sort of grown over time with better and better creatures being printed. Now again, you need to catch up, so you need like the fact that they're untapped dual lands does go a long way. But I think people just it's so ingrained to them that this drawback is nothing, it's trivial, but it actually matters. And so people are like a little too high on these, I think, and just load their deck with them. You should probably just have some like a small you probably aren't playing like 4 of all of your colors of these.
Yeah, think of like maybe I don't know 2 or something, but like think about when you're playing a historic or explorer where you the amount of times you play your shock land untapped, and what that means to you, and then think about tapping this land 3 times for a color.
Right.
And what's the give and take? Tapping a land feels like it's free, it's there. So, and a lot of times you're like, maybe I will play this shock tapped because I don't need to lose 2 life right now. These will, because it's 1 at a time, it feels different. So just watch out. Don't kill yourself, like Jeff said. So.
Yeah. And the shock lands come with choice, like real choice. These come with the illusion of choice. Like, it looks like you get an option, but like in the situations where you need colored mana, you need colored mana. Like, you're not paying this over using a mountain. That's not a real choice. These don't actually give you a choice. And so it kind of looks like they do, but they don't. And that's why shock lands are better. Shock lands are like, first of all, like you said, you're likely to take more than 2 damage off these. But also shock lands, you can choose to take 0 if you want. It's up to you. These are like, if you need a red mana, you take damage. That's it.
Yeah. So, but still, it's really exciting. I want a lot of them for Explorer and stuff, just because I want to have those. So it's really cool that they just reprinted them, and I want them in all the the things.
And to be clear, I like these lands. I will get them. I'll play them. They are good. I just think people tend to think they're better than they are. Is why I wanted to. I think that hedge a little towards like they're not as good as you might think.
It's a really good point. Like, you might, if you play 4 of one of them, it might be like a 2-color deck, maybe. But like, there's a lot of other options. We'll see what happens when standard rotates, but how many you might play, but you might not need nearly as many. So that's actually good news for you.
Yeah, if this is like the best dual land in a format, that's a really different format. Right now, they're kind of going to be playing backseat to like tri-lands and stuff. So
that's true.
Triome type stuff. So they're going to be like helping you splash that 3rd color is kind of where I see these fitting in the immediate standard. Unless you're playing Eldrazi and then they're like tri-lands because they tap for the Eldrazi mana.
Yeah, except for I hope nobody's playing Eldrazi.
Well, I was already talking about how like this upcoming sets are actually going to be Eldrazi sets, not Phyrexia sets. And so this is just my evidence for that. This is like the plant for the Eldrazi because they're tri-lands for Eldrazi. Yeah.
I see it. All right, Jeff. Let's try it. We had some nice rants, some good stuff. I'm really happy with them, but I do want to make sure we save some stuff for next week. So maybe let's just pick one more card that we're going to talk about.
Just one?
I know, it's really hard. I know you already alluded to one of them. So
yes.
if you want to jump right on board with that, I'm great with that. So.
Okay, well, the card that I think is really cool is Braid's Arisen Nightmare. It's 1 black for a 3/3 legendary creature nightmare. Beginning of your end step, you can sack an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. Up to you. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, they lose 2 life, and you draw a card. So this is really cool because that is like, you kind of get to choose, assuming you build your deck with this in mind, you kind of get to choose if I want to end step, draw 2 life, or draw a card, my opponent loses 2 life, or do they like have to sack their best creature kind of thing. And so I'm imagining this goes in this sort of like red-black anvil deck where you have lots of artifacts and lots of creatures. And so if they don't have any artifacts, cool, I sack my blood token and I get to draw a card and you lose 2 life. Or if they have a big creature, that's fine, I sack one of my little 1/1s and they have to get rid of that creature. So obviously this is like the type of card that goes into type of decks that I like, and the fact that this is on end step is what makes it playable. Like, this is pretty strong thing to happen on end step, and the fact that you get the choice, especially with the amount of like blood tokens that fly around at the moment, it seems like it probably isn't that hard to force the second thing on your opponent where they lose 2 life and you draw a card. Now, I guess you can't, like, force them to sack a creature, but, I don't know, a card, like, 3/3 for 3, they lose 2 life, you draw a card, isn't the worst consolation prize, so...
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear whether that burden of choice, your opponent can always keep the creature if they want to, is enough to hold this card back, and, like, if they have a blood token, they can sack it. But on the face of it, like, a 3/3 for 3 that replaces itself, gets a bit of damage in, and then threatens to keep doing it, so they have to answer it. Seems like something I'm interested in trying.
Yeah, I really like, if you're not familiar with Braids, this is a creature from Dominaria who's quite crazy, and also extremely oppressive. So this is a really good way of having a very similar effect. The original Braids just said at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land, and that was it. So every turn you have to sacrifice something no matter what, and you have to figure out what it is. And a lot of the times it ends up being your lands at the end, and then that game can be miserable. So I like that this one actually kills them. It can actually kill them and get the game like moving forward, and it happens right away. So I'm kind of
pretty sure locking people out of the game with Braids was like a legitimate game plan and a very strong deck.
Yes.
Back when Braids was the thing.
Yeah, which is awesome. But I like that and if you're a friend of the Arena regulars, we like land destruction. So it's not a surprise that having something that has the ability to make people sacrifice lands. I mean, obviously, our new one, you have to sacrifice your own land as well. But I just I like it. I think it's a really good it's a really good version of this that people aren't going to like just curse forever.
Right.
And
like, I think it's probably not quite good enough to get there if I had to guess. Mm-hmm. But I really like the design of like the fixed braids kind of aspect, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Make Braids a little less miserable to play against.
Exactly. So it's less miserable. It's a stronger creature, and also like if it is on the battlefield for a little bit and then dies, it actually did something. And you can kind of choose what you need it to do. So that's nice, as opposed to just having your opponent be able to make all the decisions where they have to just, I guess I'll keep my good creature and sacrifice my land. They could do that. This one you get to kind of choose that. So it's good. Seems sweet. Also cool because I mean I'm pretty sure Braids died. So this is obviously it's a nightmare. So it's really cool.
It's a risen nightmare.
Yeah, Braids is back. Pretty sick. Pretty sweet. Oh, I am so fucking pumped for this set. I wasn't like, it's been a summer of, people are always talking about set fatigue. And this summer it was kind of like a lot of stuff. And then I kind of took a break for myself and was busy doing summer things and being outside and seeing family and all that. But coming back into this, looking at these cards again, I'm like, fuck. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Let's get back into it.
Let's get back into this. With Dominaria United, I'm so stoked for this. I don't like, if people ask me like maybe what my favorite plane is, it sounds boring, but I feel like Dominaria is probably my favorite. You just can't get better than any just classic. I really like classic stuff.
So. Yeah, there's lots of like lore to it, because there are so many sets that happened there.
So I'm excited for the rest of the stuff, and man, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a good year. I'm stoked, man.
So what's your card, man?
My last card? Ooh, yeah. I mean, like, that was kind of my last thing. I don't know if I can outdo that moment I just gave us. Like, are you kidding? I don't. I'm not.
This is when you're gonna come forward with like lightning strike. It's like, yeah, okay, cool.
That's the card. Yeah, exactly. I was really excited because lightning strike. I've just been waiting for it for so long. No, honestly, I'm really excited. This is just an overarching thing, but having Kicker back, but like with different colors, is huge to me. It just seems a lot more fun and interesting this way, as opposed to just you play the 2/2, and then if you have more mana of the same color, you can play a bigger version. But giving you deck building restrictions of like, oh, do you want to play this white card? But if you add some black or add some red, it gets stronger. That just has a lot more flavor to me. and it makes me a lot more excited to have kicker as opposed to normally. I'm not the biggest kicker fan, but I think kicker's good. It's just there's a lot of words, I guess, and I like less words. So
it's also super overrated. The
Yeah.
whole community tends to overrate kicker at that point.
Exactly.
Because they're like, oh yeah, like gives you options, and then like 90% of kicker cards, it's always obvious which one you play. No, but so I was saying earlier, I got that box of like invasion cards or whatever, and when I was playing Magic, like learning it, and I had this big box of old cards that I thought were so cool. The cards that I thought were by far the coolest were the cards that had kickers for different mana symbols, and they like did different things that represented that color when you kicked with that color.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I saw that back in this set, I just like an old part of me like reignited, and I was like, yes. And I think we've mentioned this about kicker in the past, where I was like, when kicker was done best is when it was like a shard kind of thing, where, or I guess in this case, sometimes it can be any
Wedge.
3-color pair.
Yeah. I guess it's anything. It doesn't matter.
But like when it's a monocolored card that has 2 different kicker costs of different colors, those were always the coolest. And it looks like the one that I've seen so far, like both kickers do the same thing, which I feel is slightly lame. I wish that like the red kicked card is different than the white kicked card. And I get the appeal of like you get to do it twice if you use all 3 colors, but I don't know. That feels a bit it feels a bit lazy to me. But I still think it's really cool that they brought this back and like at all, and are trying to do kicker in a different way than, like you said, of like the standard. You pay more than double the cost, but the effect doubles. It's like kicker. That's kicker. Like, oh, you can do 2 damage or 2 damage for 1 mana, or like 4 damage for 5.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, it's so interesting because it's disproportionate cost. It's like, no, well, if I have 5 mana, I'm going to do the 4 damage one. If I don't, I'm going to do the 2 damage one. Like, yeah. So this is more interesting. I'm still hoping to see some like really cool, like double colored kickers where the different colors do different things. But I appreciate not trying to hold a little bit back on complexity.
Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying, which I did. It is fun to have those little bits where it's like, oh, this is blue, and if it's blue, you draw a card, and if it's red, it deals 2 damage, and if it's white, you gain 3 life or whatever. But I sometimes felt a little disjointed with those, and I kind of like it where it's like, hey, you this card does this thing, and it does it better the more colors you have access to, which is better as in like extra ones. So I almost the opposite of like I actually like that the white angel comes down and like deals 2 damage if you have red and deals 2 more damage if you have black, and
it does make it feel a bit like Domain, where it scales with the number of colors that you.
And so because we have Domain in the set as well, I think it meshes in that where it doesn't feel as like here's a bunch of kind of these are colored effects, but they're a little random and you don't really use one of them ever. So this kind of gives you like, hey, you could put this, if you're playing Boros, you play this angel and like maybe you splash black or you could, it just makes you think like, oh, my mana base could be a little bit different because maybe there's a time where I need to deal the 2 extra or whatever.
I just loved those old battle mages, man. There was like a red one. If you kicked it for white, it did some white thing. If you kicked it for black, it did the black thing. But I admit that those were like, I think they might have even been commons. Like, I admit that those are pretty complicated commons.
I thought that didn't the battle mages, they had activated abilities though? I thought that they like tapped and did different things. Is that not right? Or there were cards that did that though. I don't know if they were the battle mages.
Maybe the battle mages weren't.
Kicker, but I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Kicker. Yeah, but there were like some kicker cards that
they
actually felt that way. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, I do agree. With probably what Wizards is saying, that those are a little complicated for a common by today's standards.
And also just like maybe, I don't know. I did like them. I do like it, but I'm
yeah, you're right. The battle mages were like the first guild mage kind of thing.
Yeah,
the tap abilities.
Yeah. But I do like bringing it down just a bit. But anyway, I think I said most of my closing thoughts earlier about Dominaria this year. But do you have any final words before we go to last call?
Nope, just that this set is shaping up really nicely. I think it looks. There's a lot of. There's like we could have cycled a different. However many cards we talked about, we could have talked about a completely different set of that many cards. That would have been like equally exciting cards to talk about. You know, we didn't even mention like Shieldred or any of the new sagas. So we have lots to get to next week. So. You knew they were going to bring, you knew they were going to bring their A game for Dominaria. So far, I think it's living up to the hype, and I can't wait to see more.
Yeah, same. When was the last
and,
time?
Liliana of the Veil, are you fucking kidding me?
It's so, I can't believe they pulled the trigger on that one. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Fuck, I'm so excited. Okay, all right. I'm getting hyped, but I got to wind down because it is last call.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know. As always, we're going to rate our beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. As always, this has nothing to do with where you are in your tier laddering system, though we do recommend that you play events and, maybe don't listen to the ladder anymore. That doesn't really matter all that much. But, anyway, this is just a fun way to rate beers because, hey, why not? With that being said, bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. They're the worst beers that you've ever tasted. They are the coffee brown ale sitting in my fridge that I got from a trip I was recently on, and I can't drink them anymore. I have to. I opened one.
Oh, no. And I didn't realize those were bronze.
Yeah, I had to pour it down the drain. It was that bad.
All right, so if you want to know what a bronze beer looks like, come to our Discord, because Zach posted a picture of it.
I did.
Yeah. Silver beers. These are beers that basically have nothing going on. Think your standard macro brew.
Yeah. Gold beers are fine, but you won't really drink them again or think about it ever.
And then platinum is pretty solid, and you would drink it again.
Diamond is exceptional, and you would recommend these to your friends. You pick these up often, and you would bring these to parties.
And then mythic. These are the Liliana of the Veils of beer. They're the best of the best, and you'd recommend these. You recommend crafting 4 of these to anyone who will listen.
Yeah, they are definitely worth it. All right, Jeff, do you have your beer ready? Do you have the can and everything? We're ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Very good. Yeah, buddy.
All right.
I knew it. I knew it.
Okay, so let's start with the winner then.
Let's
Grand
do it.
Champion.
Let's do it. I want you to talk first. I know what you're going to say, but I want to hear what you're going to say.
Okay, it's not too juicy. It doesn't taste too much like juice, it looks a lot like juice, but it actually doesn't really taste too much like juice, which anyone who's a long-time listener of the show knows. I like my sours to taste like beer first and like sour juice second. And I think when we started the show, that was like 50-50, but now it's sort of consensus has come in and I'm in the minority because everyone's like producing these sours that are a little juicier, closer to juice than to beer. Which is fine, it just means it's harder for me to find a sour that I like. Now, granted, this one isn't like all the way as far as I would go if I were designing a sour where it's like it's a beer with a sour kick. This definitely is, it's a sour beer right away. But it's pretty good. I taste the raspberry. The sour is a really good balance on it. Another pet peeve of mine is a sour that isn't actually sour. It's just like fruity. That's not the same thing. Why are you calling this a sour? This one is sour, so I like that. And overall, even though it's not, necessarily my favorite beer style, I have to admit that this is like a well done version of that style.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you with all the things, man. I'm the juicy sour guy, and I overdid it a little bit for a while, and didn't get a lot of sours if you've been listening to the show, but I'm coming back in full form. But this guy, I was actually thinking this was going to go overboard, but we've been finding that this brewery has a lot more of a really subtle touch. Like their hand on the dial is pretty good.
Yeah.
And this one especially, I think it hit a lot of good notes for me. With you can taste the wheat. It is sour, but that's not the only flavor you get. Which to me, there's a lot of sours that are just sour, and then I don't really know what else is going on because my tongue can't.
Also true, yeah.
Yeah,
Some of them
can't-
are like
Can't taste anything after that.
it's like the spicy food that's just too spicy to enjoy.
Exactly. You're like, what is this? It's just hot. It's flames. Meaning flames.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by this. It's not as like dark as I was thinking with the lactose, and wow, it just feels. I want a lot of these. I like this a lot.
I think this is the best beer we've tried from them of the four.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's the best beer. Now, oh man, I'm gonna say, geez, you know what? I'm gonna give this Mythic. I really like this.
Okay. I think I'm gonna give it Diamond, but
I was really close to Diamond, but I think you gave a really respectful Mythic recently, and I felt like I've been behind the times. But this is the beer that when people go there, I'm gonna be like, get this beer, whether you like sours or not. I think it's a really good level playing field, and tasting it by the taste, I could tell that you would like it, and I also like it. So if you get the guy who likes the juicy, really fruity beer, and the guy who likes beer, I think you did a good job.
yeah, this is like a great sour. Like I said, if I were to make it, I would push it a little beerier. But I understand that you want to sell it as well. So
Yeah.
I think they hit a perfect balance where pretty much everyone's gonna like it.
There's a good subtlety, and yeah, I'm really happy with that. All right, Pinky Swear. Yeah, I really like the imagery of this, but I don't remember what the beer tastes like at all, and
Yeah.
I don't.
So, all right. So we've been doing this long enough that this is mostly just for me. I know that the listeners and even you have no way of like verifying that I didn't check the can. But I took one sip of this. I don't have to look at the can. This is El Dorado hops, and I don't like El Dorado hops. So right away, this was like, I took one sip. I think I grimaced and was like, okay,
I think
this is an El Dorado IPA.
I saw you do
So
it too. Yeah.
It's like hard for me now to try to objectively validate it. Like sometimes there's a little bit of El Dorado. This is like El Dorado's the hops they chose to use. It has that like detoury flavor for me. So I personally don't like it. I think in terms of like trying to take away the hops and just what is the actual underlying grain and body of the beer taste like, it seemed well made. Like it seemed reasonable.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to get past that. It's like the people who don't like cilantro, If you put cilantro in their taco, that's all they're going to taste. And be like, oh yeah, I don't know if the pork was good or not.
Yeah. I don't have the same aversion to El Dorado that you do. So this to me just tastes like a beer, and I kind of completely forgot about it while I was drinking it and didn't think about it. And it seems very, very well made, but I'm never going to remember this. I know that I'm going to forget that I tasted this if we ever go. So that means it's gold for me, and yeah, it's
yeah. It navigated itself to gold for me too, because it's like I can sort of acknowledge that it's a well-made beer, so it's fine, but I definitely won't drink it again.
Yep.
So.
Definitely. All right. A bit polarizing sometimes with these beers, but I'm really happy that we found one that was very good.
I actually thought that one was the one of all the ones we bought that I was going to like the least.
Yeah.
And,
I was
barring next week's show, like so far it's the best.
Yeah. So we have one more week of this grain and grit tap takeover, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so far it actually, I think earlier I said it was like really great last week, but I think it was hit and miss at the, so we'll find out. But all right, it is time for closing time. You can always reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
If you have a time machine, you might run into us on Arena under the username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg, that is Zeulberg on Twitter and Instagram. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Technically, I have a Twitter account. It's at BluesBrewsMTG, BluesBrewsMTG, but I check it even less now than I did before somehow. So the best way to contact me is to find our Discord and just talk to me there. And I'll probably respond pretty quickly if you do that.
Yeah, it's true. If you're having trouble finding our Discord, it's Arena Regulars on Discord. But there is also a link pinned to our Twitter account. So just go to Twitter and you can find it there. Also, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts on iTunes. Follow us on Spotify and leave us a review there. Reviews are actually huge for us just because it bumps up our podcast into visibility where people who are searching will find it. Where if it doesn't have a lot of reviews, it won't. So it means a lot to us, not only personally to read them. I know Jeff and I have really enjoyed all the reviews we've gotten so far. But more is always better. So we'd really love that. And post them there. Don't go to our Discord and post reviews. That doesn't help our analytics. We need help on our analytics. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that they're reprinting Liliana of the fucking Veil.
Good night. All right, that's fine.